My friends at SD Bullion consistently offer the best pricing and service in the precious metals industry. They help me when I'm in the market for physical precious metal. They can help you too. Visit sdbullion.com for more information. Well, happy Wednesday, everybody at TFMR. It's Wednesday, July the 1st. New month, new quarter. Back half of the year, almost by definition, has to be better than the first half of the year, just because the first half of the year was so challenging for all of us in the precious metals. I thought this would be a great time to get some firsthand knowledge of what's going on in the precious metals directly from someone in the precious metals industry. And we've not had a chance to speak with John Lee for, I think it's been since 2024, perhaps. But it'd be good to hear from him again. He's got something new he wants to talk about as well. John Lee, you'll recognize him as the CEO of Silver Elephant. And we've had him on a few times in the past. And it's always great to visit with him. John, thank you so much for spending some time with me this morning.
Yeah, it's great to catch up. I think it's been more than a couple of years, but nonetheless, it's better late to be late than never.
Better late than never. That's right. And I say good morning. It's morning where I am. It's evening where you are.
Yes, I'm in Asia.
This is remarkable. And it's still, the internet just amazes me sometimes that we can sit here and talk to each other like this wirelessly. And you're halfway around the world. It's just remarkable. But anyway, John, we want to talk about Silver Elephant. I want to talk about the other company that you're CEO of as well, called Clean Tech. But for all the gold and silver folks out there, I just would be remiss if I didn't pick your brain a little bit about things that are going on at Silver Elephant that you'd like to share, and your observations of the precious metal markets here at the midpoint of 2026.
Right. Well, there's a lot going on. My previous two other interviews on other channels went on for like an hour and a half, so I try to be less verbose and more succinct. Craig, let's talk about the silver market first. What we're looking at is a seasonality factor come to play of selling May and walk away. We just had a July futures contract roll over into I think September. And the September contract, which means that the people holding on to the July contract had to sell liquidate or roll over their contract by, I think, June the 30th, which was deadline yesterday. But on Friday, I was looking at the futures market. I mean, the volume was almost down to a trickle. I mean, I meant like few thousand contract was traded like by the hour. That's maybe like 5% what the nominal value of volume was. So therefore, that's why you saw like on Thursday or Friday, a hooray of new volume coming into the September, which is the near month silver contract. And my gut feeling was that everybody was a bit of tip and toeing, staring at the traffic light to see if there's more whacking going on by the cartels. And then took advantage of a sliver of window and dabble into the market. And the volume steadily piled on into the silver market, and market since it had rallied from 57 to right now $60. I'm not entirely convinced. The volume still tepid in comparison to the previous trading volume, especially compared to the February high of 115, of which something like 75,000 contracts were traded, 750,000 or 75,000, equivalent to 1.5 billion ounces of silver trading a single day. And the dollar was rallying right now, especially with the hawkish wash that's been nominated. So this could be just a sort of a summer Flynn rebound that could run out of steam. Therefore, I wouldn't I wouldn't go full in on this current bounce, but rather take advantage if you had gotten at a bit earlier level for your speculative position. Interest rate, as I mentioned, on a lot of other channels are heading a lot higher. If you watch some of the previous videos and appearances, I'm talking years ago, he's always been a hawk. And that's why he was nominated, which is designed to raise interest rate. And when he came on and when there was a brief conversation about removing the easing bias and the dollar rallied big time, right? That's how silver and gold got whacked. And this is only the beginning. This is the beginning of a tightening cycle that is to come. So that's my overview on gold and silver. And I think I talked to you just prior to the show a couple of minutes that I was in Hong Kong, I was in China. The picture is very bleak. The markets are trading, especially the Hong Kong market, back to COVID level. It's already lower than the March low when the bond was dropped, and that's why you're seeing sort of very just a lethargic market. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And for the market to resume a big rally for gold and silver, it's just maybe not in the cards because I'm not seeing I'm not seeing a sort of a very enthusiastic participation from China and from Hong Kong. And I was in the silver shops and gold shops in Shanghai. You're seeing ghost. There is no participation whatsoever from the retail crowd in China. And the retail, so just the retail, a bit of retail check in retail sales and just normal crowding on a weekend, even on a weekday in the evenings, were next to non-existent. So I was quite shocked. Like the foot traffic are the worst I've seen ever. I'm 52, and I've been in China for the last 20, 30 years. I'm from Taiwan. I've never seen as bad as they are right now. And real estate are in a free fall as well as small traffic.
Well, in the recent news, it seems as if the Chinese are trying to de-lever their gold markets too, in eliminating futures trading. And well, first they were raising margins and then try to eliminate the trading completely and closing people out and I've seen some headlines trying to close out all futures trading by the 24th of this month. Seems as if they want more physical trading in China. But then, like you said, you're not seeing a lot of foot traffic by the regular mom and pops to buy some. It's an interesting dichotomy,
Yeah, a couple of thoughts on that. Everything's rumor, you never know. But there is a reported political struggle not seen since 70 years, for almost 70 years, at least 50 years when Deng Xiaoping was relinquished power.
Yeah.
And so right now, Xi Jinping is a political hot seat. I don't know if you watch, there's a drone or a small plane that crashed into the highest building in Beijing.
Yeah, I saw that.
A 9/11 style, and yet there was a complete stand down in the Air Force of China, just to show how hollow the PLA presence may be. And 5 of the 7 Politburo members of China had already been removed, and the Chinese PLA vice chairman was taken into custody and disappeared. So I wouldn't read too much of a coordinated effort of what they're doing in the gold market in China, but rather what I actually see is a tightening, a monetary tightening, and a physical tightening of all sorts in China. That the power that Xi Jinping tried to remove as much power and tightening the grip in the domestic Chinese market. And this internal circulation their internal suffocation, not circulation. There is almost zero presence in Western capital or in Asian capital in China. I mean, you're looking at the Foxconn, the Samsung, the Toyotas, and also as well as the State Streets and Vanguard and and BlackRock have all retreated from China. So it's a very bleak picture, and I don't see any stimulus on the horizon until the political sort of a struggle gets sorted out.
Wow.
And it's probably not going to happen at least for this year.
Great, great on the ground insight, John. Very much appreciate that. One last question about Silver Elephant. Yeah, I mean, I've watched the stock kind of fully round trip, a little bit like silver. Silver's kind of back to where it was in October and November of last year, and your stock is back to where it was in October and November of last year. Anything specific you can tell us about progress you're making there?
Yeah, Silver Elephant is my baby. I've been founder and CEO of the company for 17 years and raised actually over $100 million for the company. The company right now is mining silver in Bolivia, at a very small scale, but nonetheless generating cash flow. We're mining very high grade silver in our Aphrodita project, which is at the fringe of this Paca deposit in Bolivia, and it's around 400 grams per ton. We're mining something around about 500 to 600 tons a month. So it's not a great scale, but still we're making about close to $1 million in revenue and hundreds of thousands in cash flow. The main part of the project was taken away by the government. We believe sort of in concert with another company called Andean Mining, of which we just launched a lawsuit last month. So I'm not going to comment too much on it, but it was 100 million ounces of silver, of which Silver Elephant spent more than a decade in developing that resource numbers. And just about when we started commissioning the project, in a joint venture with Andean, a year later, a year after the joint venture was signed in 2024, we received notice of the cancellation of the mining contract with the government, and subsequently Andean came in. So, the timing is all very suspicious, and we've got quite a bit of evidence to press charges against them. And the value, when it's all said and done, the damage could be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Wow. So while that exercise is ensuing, and while Elephant is mining the fringe of the project, generating cash flow, it is just acquired a new project. It's a it's a sphalerite project in Kentucky. And I'd love to share some a bit more color about it. It's a sphalerite project, so it's very zinc concentrated, but it also has a good amount of germanium, gallium, and silver. So that is a new exciting. It's sort of we're embracing on this exciting new initiative. A lot of that news is going to be shared with our investors and audience and shareholders in the weeks and months to come.
Well, and that's the main thing I wanted to get caught up on. And I'm excited to hear more about it. This company, Clean Tech, which you are also CEO of, and it's more critical minerals. And I was doing some research on this last night. I mean, look, we all know about critical minerals and how important they are in wide range of industries. And the critical mineral list that the U.S. Department of Interior has put out, and how this is a major initiative to try to secure critical minerals for so many different reasons here in the U.S. One of them is fluorspar, which is I guess a rock, like a fluorine crystal.
Yes, calcium fluoride.
Yeah, calcium fluoride. That's beautiful. I mean, some people just have held this in their hands and go, wow, this is really neat, like a quartz. But
yes,
you can break that up and use that in so many different ways, uranium enrichment, other things. Tell us about the opportunity that you see here, and I guess the excitement that you have for where this company is headed.
Right. We are now, Clean Tech and Silver Elephant. Clean Tech was born just 3 years ago, spun out of Silver Elephant. But to sort of fast forward to where we stand today, Clean Tech and Silver Elephant both are exploring in this, what they call the Illinois-Kentucky IKFD, Illinois-Kentucky Fluorspar District. And this district is a very large district that accounted for 90% of the critical mineral production in the United States. And it's going through a renaissance. And it's measured 600 square miles, but it's got arguably the largest rare earth deposit. It's got many million tons of fluorspar, germanium, gallium, zinc, silver, lead, and other exotic trace minerals. And we have tried to sort of mum the word not a bit while the company is amassing the land package. But I thought it's now good to share with the audience as the companies are now making its discoveries known, the acquisition known to the public. It's all about to do with fluorspar and germanium, as I mentioned, which Elephant exploring. It's all to do with really artificial intelligence. And what is happening is that all these trace elements like fluorspar, germanium, and gallium, antimony, and tungsten all were supplied by China. Mm-hmm. As you know, right now there is truly a great divide between China and America. witnessed 4 years ago, China actually imposed an export ban of something around a dozen critical minerals, including germanium. And that's caused a bit of a panic to the administration because up to about 25 years ago, just about all of these critical mineral production, if any had been existent in the United States, has stopped because the Chinese flooded the market with its trace minerals. But because China has stopped exporting these critical minerals and using that as a trade tariff bargaining chip, U.S. is now sounding the alarm. So let me give you a rundown real quick to do with. I think instead of going to individual sort of trace minerals and what they're good for, if I can roll back, given my tech background, I was graduated from Rice. 52, I started my career in the Silicon Valley. All this is much to do with weaponry and artificial intelligence. For those who missed the boat, including myself, NVIDIA, right? It was a memory chip company, and Tesla, which is a money-losing auto manufacturer. And you're seeing these companies are trading at $1 trillion, $3 trillion market cap. This artificial intelligence story is for real. And I think a lot of guys missed the boat on the initial runs of these companies, but there are still opportunities. The NVIDIA, if you think about it right now, NVIDIA is the brain of artificial intelligence. It's like a brain of a child. So the processing is the brain of which NVIDIA is providing. And NVIDIA now the market cap is something like 3 trillion.
Yeah.
And since then, now the model, the thinking is the OpenAI, the Grok, the Anthropic. And then the memory is provided by Micron. So in a way, if you look at a toddler, a baby, now sort of the functioning of a brain is born, provided with thinking, provided with processing, and provided with memory, right? In the names Anthropic, in terms of NVIDIA, and in terms of Micron. What the next stage of AI revolution is going to blow your socks off, which is robotics. So think of AI, the next generation. They're literally like babies or human robotics.
Yeah.
And so robotics, like in 3 years' time, you're going to be looking at potentially up to 30% penetration in household robotics. So you're looking at up to 1 billion robots in 5 years' time. The robots, so if you think about it, the robots need to eat, right? So what robots eat are energy storage, just like batteries.
Mm-hmm.
And how the robots think and remember is memory and NVIDIA and Micron and Anthropic, and how the robots see, which is LiDAR, right? Radar, fiber optics, that's germanium. And what the robots eat, as I mentioned, that's energy. Energy is to do with batteries, and batteries to do with fluorspar. So fluorspar is to do with energy storage and energy production. So for those people who have missed the boat, and then in terms of connectivity, is all these robots going to be linked through a SpaceX satellite? So in 3 years' time, you're going to see these robots mining exotics, copper, and in the Himalayan mountains, in the Sahara deserts, in the deserts of Pakistan. And you're going to see, right now, already robots are sorting your packages in Amazon and deliver through drones in China. They're already making noodles. When I was in Shanghai, in Marriott, they're making noodles for breakfast for me. They're making coffee. They're doing a marathon right now in Beijing just 2 months ago. And these robots doing kung fu and ballet. And up to 1 million, there's a tiny startup in Beijing that's taken 1 million robotic orders when they just opened door like a month ago. 1 million in just like a few days. They are creating human-like robots in the skin to the touch, in the face, and then they're becoming your AI companion. They can talk to you. They're psychologists, psychiatrists. They can cook dish. They can cook. They can clean. They can set reminders. They can be your babysitter. They are going to be, and that's why famously, if you watch Jeff Bezos that just talked about complaining that humans are eating too much and drinking too much, taking over the AI share. It just so happened that AI sweats a lot, right? These robots sweats a lot because the data centers consume a lot of power and a lot of water.
Yeah.
So in essence, for these people that missed the boat on the technologies of software, of processings and of memories, it's not too late. There's still the energy to play, and there's still the vision part of the AI to play. You see, just to conclude, the germanium price has gone up 10 times in the last 10 years. Went from $20 an ounce, right now it's trading at $240 an ounce for germanium. And the reason how germanium works is because germanium oxide is completely transparent to infrared, to heat, and to high frequency signals. That's why it's able to create the path, right, for the infrared, for the heat, for the radar, for all the frequency to travel, to be absorbed onto your memory. And that's why germanium is needed. And fluorine is needed because every fluorine needs to marry to a uranium atom for enrichment to levitate the uranium, of which they separate the 235 from the 238, and 235 is the fissile uranium. And in terms of energy storage, fluorine, 6-fluorine is to marry with lithium or sodium. So people talk about the anode and the cathodes in graphite, in nickel, and manganese, and in nickel, but people don't talk about the fluorine, which is the salt. Think of it like a swimming pool. The salt, the water is the fluorine, which carries the lithium, which is a swimmer, that carries the charge back and forth between the anode and the cathode. So I am huge, and then in terms of fluorine, fluoride, calcium fluoride price has gone up 50% in the last 2 years, and China has become a net importer of fluorspar. Exactly, precisely because they're building these robots at data centers and energy storage sites.
It makes perfect sense. And I'm looking, I had no idea that this was even a district, like you said. I'm going to put a screenshot. I'm looking at it right now from the cleantechctv.com website of where your fluorspar projects are in the Illinois-Kentucky district. And for people that are familiar with the geography, it's kind of down there where Missouri, Illinois, and Kentucky come together. Paducah is down in that region. Think of the Boot Heel of Missouri, very far southwest Kentucky.
Exactly.
Remarkable. Again, you don't think of, like when I think of mining in the U.S., I think of coal in the Appalachians, some gold in Nevada, things like that.
Yep.
But there has to be great other elements, great store of other elements because we're so rich in natural resources. I had no idea about this, and I think it's fascinating that you're kind of on the ground early in that area.
We're dumbfounded, and we really found our homes, and that's why both my companies, babies, Cleantech and Vanadium, are now focusing tremendously in this district. I was just in Kentucky, and the area is about 2.5 hours north of Nashville. It's futuristic, reminds me of Tuscany, in fact. It's beautiful down there, and great surfing hospitalities, excellent geology. And we did a site visit in March, and our crew right now is in that district. People say that right now, I think that United States, especially under this administration, is having a second renaissance in mining. I mean, not only in Kentucky, but you look at Idaho, in Utah, as well as in Nevada. Right now, they're putting up exploration and mining ventures. Idaho. People say that Nevada is the best the best jurisdiction to do mining investment. I beg to differ. Kentucky is even better, in my view. We had direct access to the Kentucky Reclamation and Mine Enforcement, and in terms of, the proof in the pudding. The project overall for Cleantech, we've done 5 separate transactions. We are just on a blazing trail in acquisitions, now assembling over 20 deposits, collectively the size of Manhattan, with several hotspots, over 20 hotspots. So think of our land packages. It's like Central Park and the Union Square and Chelsea, Times Square, Harlem, etc. Right? And so we went to meet these people. The company is scheduled to submit its mining application before the end of November and expect to receive a green light to go ahead and start mining activities by this time next year.
That's terrific.
We were embraced with open arms. The state understood the urgency of critical minerals. They are excited to attract investments to create jobs, and we don't have Aboriginals issues. I mean, we have rock solid foundations in the rule of law. These mineral rights existed for hundreds of years. And we have these, exploration documents up to 200 years ago. We love the district. I just can't overemphasize. We asked the question with Kentucky enforcement, mining enforcement. I say, how long does it take to get a drill permit? They said, well, if you're not causing any noise to neighbors, if you don't need a permit to drill a well, if you're not drilling next to a telephone pole line or next to a highway or some water connection, I don't see why you would need a permit. Just like you wouldn't need a permit to drill a well, right? Like we're like, holy shit, we're looking at each other. Like we're going back to Nevada 100 years ago before BLM into the area. So there is no federal oversight. Unless your processing plant dispose, right, like toxic material, that will then fall into the jurisdiction of EPA and U.S. Army Corps engineer. Otherwise, there's no oversight by the American federal agencies. There's no BLM, which only is the west side of Mississippi. So, like in Nevada, which we know well, because Clean is a Vanadium project. If we're to make a discovery in Nevada from day one, to drill it out and to apply for a permit, the record of the BLM for EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment, that would take you about 7 years. But in Kentucky, you can make a discovery and put that into production in less than 2 years. It is, I believe, easily the best place to do mining business. And you're talking to a mining executive who's been around the block for over 20 years and traveled over 35 years. We love this district.
And John, how do you get it out of the ground? Is it more of an open pit type thing, or do you have to drill down? I mean, how does that process play out?
Yeah, in this particular part of the district, you have a lot of sphalerite. It's called the Mississippi replacement mineralization. I'm not a geologist, so it's a little over my head. However, over 30 million tons of mineral is being dug out of the ground in this 600 square mile district. The deposits tend to be mostly underground.
Okay.
A lot of the higher grade materials is being mined out, like a zinc project, the 20% on surface. So now you have a lot of, I would say right now, well, I can speak for the projects that we own right now, Clean Tech, right, and Silver Elephant. These are sort of sitting on a major faults and trends. There's about a dozen of them, and these faults and trends runs northwest to southeast mostly. And there's some crossing trends, but each trend is running around 20 to 30 miles. And sitting along each trend, you have several pods of deposits. They may be all connected down deep, right? But the sweet spot is around 100 to 200 feet below surface, which is around 70 to 150 meters from surface. And these are vein style deposits that pitch and swell from sort of a 2 to 4 meters. And the grades run, some of the zinc project are running close to 20-30%. And silver run up to 100 grams per ton. And the zinc running up to, and then also germanium and gallium running up to hundreds of grams per ton. The grades are definitely economic in terms of Fluorspar, which is what Cleantech is exploring. The Fluorspar grades are averaging at around 30%. And right now, the Fluorspar is trading at over $600 per ton CIF delivered to the United States port. And that's 97% calcium fluoride, Fluorspar grade, which means that the Fluorspar dug out of the ground for Cleantech is valued at around $200, $250. And that is music to our ears.
Yeah.
So overall, to answer your questions, it is a lot of these vein deposits that you see in Peru and Mexico.
And it's an interesting, like I said, geography. I had no idea this was there, but then as you're describing it, it made me think of that New Madrid fault line that here in the Midwest, we know a lot about that because there's a massive earthquake back in the early 19th century, made the Mississippi River run backward, all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
And it's right on this, if I'm not mistaken, this district is kind of right on that fault line. So you can see where, I guess, there would be a lot of mineral connection to that area, and I just had never really thought of it before.
Think about it. It's a 600 square mile area, 25 by 25. And we're only scratching the surface. The
Yeah,
projects that ELEF and CleanTech had acquired for Fluorspar and for germanium, these projects collectively had over 740 drill holes. And with a historical resource close to 10 million tons. Of course, these resources are historical in nature, cannot be relied on, doesn't demonstrate economic viabilities, and the measure, so that the estimation, the methods of estimation of these tonnages, right, are historical in nature. So we already grabbed all the low-hanging fruits. But there's absolutely no question in my mind, given the size, how endowed and how sort of dramatic these faults are. These faults are running 20, 30 miles on stretch, right? There is definitely a lot more discoveries to be made. But the caveat is you have to drill to discover. Yeah. And right now, just to give you an idea that because of the inflation, to drill 8 holes, where CleanTech is going to do a round of validation drilling in about a month time. Drill 8 holes is going to cost us about $1 million.
Yeah.
So if you think about 740 drill holes, right? So that will cost that, like, the value of that is $100 million. So right now, CleanTech and ELEF collectively sitting on $100 million worth of drill hole, and the values, and not to mention the values, the discoveries, the mineral values that these drill holes have proven up. Which is close to 10 million tons, if not more.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic world-class district that is just getting rediscovered.
Yeah.
I'm quite dumbfounded on why people don't, like, I know because you've been around, I've been around too. We always go to Peru, which I've been several times, Mexico, Colombia, I went there a number of times, Bolivia, Argentina, in the middle of nowhere, Mongolia. You will get on a Jeep. You will drive for hours, no road, right? No water, no power to inspect kick some rocks in the middle of nowhere, staring at barren land. And you ask me why, and the reason is I don't know. I think it's just there is just this cloud maybe hanging over the U.S. With this EPA and with a lot of talks about a lot of these NGOs and. I think there's a lot of that, and then there's a couple of very high-profiled cases in Michigan, the twin metals, Antofagasta, with Duluth Metals, and Alaska. There's some cases there with Northern Dynasty, and I think just there were one of few very high-profile cases that really sort of tainted, right, the entire area. I highly, highly recommend. I think for some of I know your audience is very sophisticated, astute. Hit me up. Just go to info at Silver Elephant info at CleanTech. Hit me up. You'll be glad you did. Like when CleanTech first embarked on this Fluorspar project, exactly 1 year anniversary, our stock was trading at 3 cents. 3 million market cap, 3 million in the bank. I was pounding on my chest and say, this is a 10-bagger. This is the best opportunity I've ever seen. 3 months later, with the U.S. rare earth frenzy in November, CleanTech went from 3 cents to 50 cents. And it was a 15-bagger. And now the stock settled back at around 12 cents. So it is an incredible entry point. The U.S. government, let me just mention a couple of other data points. The U.S. government has committed $7 billion to build a critical mineral smelter in Clarksville, Tennessee. And that is just south of the Tennessee-Kentucky border, around 90 miles from Paducah, where our deposits sit, where this mining district is. This is a $7 billion smelter financed by U.S. Exim Bank, U.S. Department of Commerce, and Department of War. Korean Zinc is the operator. They're putting up $80 million. Korean Zinc is selected because they had the technology and they run the world's largest non-ferrous smelter to recover 12 critical elements, including bismuth, germanium, tungsten, gallium, zinc, silver, gold, all the exotics. So they're like, the US government was just there on a ceremony. It's all in the news. I'm just shocked. Like, investors are so oblivious. And I think in 2 years' time, this area is going to be the 90210 for critical minerals.
Yeah.
The smelter, once it's coming to operation in 2029, is going to have to process the feed of up to 600,000 tons of concentrate. Oh my God. Right now, the entire United States, metal concentrate production is less than 200,000 tons. Where is the 500,000 tons of concentrate come from? And according to Korean Zinc government presentation, 70% of that, which are validates our calculation, will have to come from Peru, Mexico, and elsewhere. So can you imagine the U.S. government invested $7 billion when they turn on the light and they couldn't get concentrate feed?
Right,
And
right.
a company called CleanTech has, a shovel-ready critical mineral project, a stone throw away from the smelter that just need a smidget of that $100 million, let's say, to get into production. And we have a direct line into U.S. Department of Commerce. This whole area is going to be a second Jesus coming. This is such an incredible area. We can barge the minerals to through the Ohio River to Houston, to ports, which you don't need.
Yeah.
And there's a direct smelter that's 90 miles away, and a local community that has experience in mining before in the district, and the permitting bureau that is not so knowledgeable, but that is very open to investments. I mean, they're thinking of fluorspar processing kind of like limestone, which is not far. I mean, fluorspar processing takes a bit more than gravity and density separation, gravity separation like limestone. But that the agents to float fluorspar there's no acid or no cyanide and no exotics, but no arsenic, but it's all organic elements like bark tree. So I think this is a biodegradable, bio-friendly, environmentally friendly project that's going to be churning out critical minerals project. The U.S. government is spending hundreds of billions of dollars, and actually also just recently tendered a $250 million fluorspar strategic to rebuild the strategic stockpile. Right now, the United States produces next to zero fluorspar germanium. So I would say it's a combination of the combination of the birth of AI and the separation from China of which used to supply all these critical elements.
John, you've got me excited.
Shocking.
I'm
it's a
telling
shocking
you.
proposition.
Well,
yes.
I'm so excited you're getting this story out because I just think it's fascinating. It makes all the sense in the world. And like you said, it's even kind of clean to do. Is your ultimate plan, John, to kind of take this into production? Do you think eventually you just prove it all up and somebody comes and snaps you up? Where do you want to take this company?
You know what? What's even funnier? It's almost like it's. I'm looking at this with the deriding laughter, in that the valuation is a fraction of the other similar projects we looked at in Mexico, of which there is a cartel problem and a Ejido Aboriginal problem. And Colombia has a drug cartel problem. Bolivia is going through a bit of a political turmoil. And Peru is going through an election. It's always left versus right. And then Africa is going through wreaking havoc. And yet, right in our backyard, United States, all this area to be had on private patented land, which the mineral licensing established. We are right now sifting through just hundreds of terabyte of data, thousands of documents tracing back to 200-300 years ago, sorting through the data, looking at what we have. I can tell you as for sure that we have a lot of germanium, and germanium are trading at $240 an ounce, and our grades are in the hundreds of grams per ton. We have a boatload of fluorspar, a lot, and grading at around 30%, and the 90% fluorspar is trading at around $600 per ton. So we have very enviable grades projects sitting on Manhattan-like land package size and sitting on private land. We have over 20 distinct deposits that are 100% optioned by the company. So right now, so far, the decision is to have ELEF focusing on the zinc-germanium-gallium venture, the part of the line package, and then have CleanTech focusing on the fluorspar concentrated area, which tends to be further north, whereas the zinc-germanium project tend to be more towards the Tennessee border. That makes a lot of sense. Our idea is not to do any window dressing. It's going to take my lifetime to drill. Like the area is only 10% explored and took 740 drill holes. So I think in the end, it's going to take 3,000, 4,000 drill holes to do our land package justice. And we still continue to acquire. But rather, we're going to do all that is necessary, but not a penny more to put the mine into production as soon as practically possible. So right now, we're going to do a round of drilling in July, maybe 8 to 12 holes, but only just to prove out a year worth of resources for production at 500 tons per day. And so we're not going to do anything more than what's needed for submission of our application for the mining permit and for the processing plant permit, of which we're going to do both by the end of the year. And there are going to be some baseline studies that we do at our own discretion, just to protect ourselves. And we're our own policemen. This is really the Wild Wild West. The government would not require baseline studies, which is shocking to us. And so we're going to do what we need to make sure that we have all the bases covered to put the mine into production as soon as possible. We may be entertaining some ideas of farming out part of our land package to strategic major investors. I think we have the necessary already knowledge to bring a mine into production, especially with the backing of the U.S. government in terms of funding and offtake. But not to say that if a major mining company, we're talking about, the Rio Tintos, right, and the likes, South 32 and the Glencores of the camp, willing to sort of step their foot into the area. For example, the Alcoa, Honeywell, DuPont, and many of these majors used to buy from this area 30 million tons. So they're all very familiar with this area. They also do have interest. Like another anecdotal casing point is, for a small microcap company, we're being approached by the world's largest automaker. I'm talking the world's largest by production, by car production, not by market cap. And we're talking about the largest semiconductor manufacturer out of Taiwan. We're talking about some of the largest battery manufacturer out of Korea, and largest chemical producer out of Qatar, and the largest chemical producer in the United States. They're approaching us and asking for long data future delivery of Fluorspar from our project. That just shows you the acute nature and the current supply-demand situation. So we're very, very confident as we continue to de-risk and removing the misnomers, the red flags, all the historical sort of misventures, that the project will be in production. And we've been around for 25 years. We're going to keep the light on until we see the light of day. So the answer is we're gonna pick 2 or 3 select highest quality project with the lowest footprint, lowest capex to production, and then we could potentially farm out some of our lesser quality project, the lesser priority projects, to the majors to create up a shareholder value. But right now, we really grab the bull by the horn and by the tail as well. If you just go to our website, Clean-CDB, and look at the land package relative to the district that we already assembled.
Well, that's where I'm going to send everybody next. I mean, I find it fascinating, and I bet if people have been listening, this is something new and exciting for them as well. So this comes with just a standard note, though. You don't want to just take my interest and my excitement and make it your own. You got to do all of your own due diligence and, assess your time horizons and risk tolerance and everything else. But what a fascinating story this is, John. I'm going to put links on this page so people can go directly to the cleantechctv.com website, but then also some of the data that's already there so that people can just get a sense for what you're talking about and then dig even further. Stock trades in Canada with the symbol CTV, Craig Tom Victor, and then easy enough down here in the States, CTVFF. We always put those F's on there. I think it means foreign. So anyway, you can trade it, you can own it, you can hold it. But again, do your research and see what you find. John, this has just been fascinating. Like I said,
one last point, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Elephant's germanium. Think of elephant is the window to the AI world, and that's ELEF. Yep. And then the food. So if you bought McDonald's 20 years ago, thinking, well, population, right? They need food at $20 McDonald's 200. So you need energy storage. This is the food to the robots, to the robot babies. That's AI, and that is Fluorspar. And American investors are always a bit late to the critical minerals
You bet.
Bandwagon. I mean, if you like critical, like rare earth, right? Some of the rare earth deposits being recycled out of bankruptcy. All of a sudden, it's $1 billion, now it's 10 billion. And all of a sudden, the germanium project, more advanced germanium projects, like Trilogy Metals trading in Alaska, it's $1 billion. And then you look at some of the antimony projects at $1 billion. So anytime when U.S. government eventually get around to it, you're going to see a market valuation with a B. I am very, very confident as the audience, sort of turning into the energy for the AI and vision for the AI, which is fluorspar and germanium for AI. You're going to see a horde of new money rotating into these critical minerals, following the footpath of NVIDIA's, the Microns, and Anthropic and OpenAI's.
Yeah. Yep. And, it's caught on so many other places, like the price of copper, which obviously has its own physical supply and demand fundamentals, but it has been far outpacing gold and silver this year, just as, and again, another part of the energy story. This is exciting, John. And again, silver elephant as well, those symbols up in Canada, ELEF, and then here in the States, SILEF. I'll put all this stuff on the page, so nobody has to write this stuff down. Links, presentations, everything else will hopefully be on this page so that you can begin to do your own research. John, this is just fascinating. All I ask is that we get an update, whether it's toward the end of this year or whenever, so you can keep us up to speed on all the progress you're making, because it sure is exciting.
You know what? I think you can sense my enthusiasm. This is the most exciting opportunity I've seen in my 25 years of doing business in the mining industry. Fantastic timing, and I'm happy to do your audience justice. I look forward to providing an update in due course.
Let's do it, John. That's saying something when you speak and put it in those terms. John, thank you so much for your time. It's been fascinating, and hopefully we'll visit again soon.
Definitely.
And from all of us at TFMR, I'm sure you've enjoyed this podcast. Well, something different, but certainly worth your attention. And we'll try to have another one of these special podcasts for you as soon as possible.